What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning into Bonus Points Last Week in Rugby series brought to you by Whalebird Kombucha, the Rugby Nation, and Osteo Strong LA. Once again, I'm your host, TJ Olsen. I'm lucky enough to be joined by Tavita Halafia and James Tesserero. But first off, I just want to say welcome back to LA, Hala. It's good to have you back in the land of the free, as James calls it. But how's it feel to be in your home away from home?
Dude, well, I've been away for 39 hours, so it feels a little good, a little bad, and a little in between. But no, I'm happy to be home. I'm really happy to be home in my studio that's not working properly, talking to my two favorite rugby people in the whole wide world.
That's good. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up for a few drinks soon. It'll be awesome. James, how we doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Good to be back on.
I'm excited.
Hey, TJ, I just want to say, TJ, I love your support for the Māori All Blacks this weekend, but, you know, I'm all Moana Pacifica this weekend.
Hey mate, I'm all for the Moana Pacifica as well. Had a guy that I coached with, and Kevin Sinio. He's one of the coaching staff for them, and I'm loving to see what's happening for Pacific Rugby. And
it's good.
It's great.
Well, all my cousins are playing for that team, so.
Oh man! All right, well then, I guess you could technically say that about me. All my cuzzy bros are playing for the Māori All Blacks, so super excited. But let's get stuck into talking about the rugby. And to start off, we've got to talk about the conclusion of the Mitre Cup. So the championship final, great bloody match. Hawke's Bay were the victors against Northland with a score of 36-24. And although you have to give credit to Northland on their successes this season, plus bringing some great veteran players to help develop their ranks, Hawke's Bay were the true powerhouses in the championship division. In the premiership division, you had the two best teams in the comp going head-to-head, with Tasman becoming back-to-back champions. I believe since the rebranding of the NPC, I don't believe anybody has been back-to-back champions. So it was a very close score, 13-12. I thought Auckland had it in the bag and Tasman won that one. But I think we've spoken enough about the various players this season. I do want to talk about the format of the competition. So New Zealand Rugby, they're looking to reinvent the game, the provincial game, but they have not revealed yet how, obviously, because it's obviously just finished. But personally, I would like to see the two divisions scrapped completely and everyone just play for one Mitre Cup and a couple of teams relegated to maybe the Heartland division below. So when you look at the two divisions, I don't believe they accurately depict who the top teams in New Zealand are. One big example, aside from the squads changing every year, is Hawke's Bay. They played a lot of crossover games this year and they won more than they lost. So I would have loved to see a Tasman or Auckland versus Hawke's Bay final if they would have made it. But Hala, let's go to you first, because we watch the Mitre Cup quite often. If you were to reinvent the competition, what would you do?
I'm going to be honest, man. After watching the structure of this year, especially with COVID, I actually like the two divisions, and I like the FA Cup style. Or is it FA Cup or UEFA Cup style?
I think UEFA Cup, yeah.
Yeah, like relegation and promotion. I think what that does is it promotes longevity in the game, in that it doesn't matter where you're situated. You're going to get consistent game time with teams that are trying to be better and trying not to lose, which are like sort of two of the same cup, if that makes sense. Having said that, though, I'd like both divisions expanded a lot wider. I feel as though that would just give a lot more of the talent pool in New Zealand a better chance to shine. And because I also think, as big as the pool is, we lose some people to the system that tend to go overseas a lot more. Having said that, if there's a Pacific Moana team, I would like it to stay as is, so that then we can get some of those plays that slip through the cracks.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you are right. I think it is great to possibly expand it, because you see how many players who got a good opportunity in this Mitre Cup and who have now been signed to Super Rugby contracts. So, for example, Xavier Rowe, he was a standout for this year's competition, and great to see him signing with the Chiefs. He's a local Hamilton Boys guy. But one thing I mentioned before and would love to see is giving the opportunity for some of these Heartland teams. So for anybody who doesn't know the competition very well, the Heartland competition is basically the Division 2 of the Mitre Cup. And I think not only would it bring awareness potentially to the clubs, it would also put other provinces on notice that they need to do better in their gameplay from an organisation standpoint. So, for example, if you ask me if I'd rather see North Otago over Manawatu in the Mitre 10 Cup this season, I would choose North Otago every day because Manawatu did terribly this year. But James, I know you're not a massive follower of the Mitre 10 Cup. You'll follow it here and there, but you know your NRC, you know other provincial competitions. What's your opinion on the competition and what they could potentially do to improve it?
Well, mate, I think what New Zealand has right now in terms of provincial is kind of enviable, and most like it really is that third tier between professional and amateur, and that's what you shoot for. So we're really just talking about little ways to refine what is already a big advantage and a great system for New Zealand's feeders. So whether you maybe just flatten out Heartland and NPC and then go North Island, South Island.
Because the Farah Palmer Cup did that this year. They had the North Island and the South Island. That's also a mixed bag. Some people really liked it and some people didn't. So, yeah, that's an interesting one.
And are there big blowouts in the score between the top NPC and the bottom Heartland?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, I think there is. Yeah, a little bit.
So maybe you could do some system where you have North NPC and South NPC. Do we call it NPC? We call it Mitre 10 Cup.
Mitre 10.
It rebrands it every 10 years, so don't worry. You can call it.
So and then what if you had an additional 2 spots on each competition, and then they were promotion relegation out of Heartland? So
that's a great idea.
So the best Heartland teams who are most competitive get pushed up, and I think what that maybe results in is if you've got really good like elite level Heartland talent, maybe that system allows you to keep them in your program rather than losing them to Mitre 10 Cup and losing them to Super.
So then, would you say then like top? So you play your competition, bottom two, the bottom two fight it out. Whoever in Mitre 10, whoever loses faces the winner of the top 2 in Heartland. And then that's your relegation or promotion.
I love it.
So if the bottom team win, then they stay. If the top team win, they get promoted, and then whoever loses is now the number 1 seed for the Heartland Cup.
So I think they do a similar thing in the Japanese top league. I think the bottom team or the bottom 2 teams play a play-in against the top team or the top 2 teams from Div 2. So what it means is if you're coming second or third last in the top 14, those last 2 or 3 games are extremely important, even when your season's done, because you're trying to get out of that relegation zone.
Right.
And then you also have those 2 play-in matches between the bottom of Div 1 and the top of Div 2 become some absolutely desperate matches and teams playing for survival, and creates a whole lot of kind of really meaningful rugby at the end of a season where sometimes the bottom of the competition becomes irrelevant.
Man, New Zealand Rugby, hire these guys. They've got some good ideas, but we'll leave it there. But thank you to New Zealand Rugby for a great Mitre 10 Cup season as usual, and congratulations to Hawke's Bay and Tasman on their victories. But with that in mind,
thanks to counties for nothing.
Right, as usual. Thank you for nothing. Like, oh man, yeah. Man, every year I'm hopeful. Every year I'm hopeful. Dude, I see them and I'm just like, yeah, you're doing terrible once again. That's
like this year is like Kieran Reid's playing, and I was like, okay, we'll win at least half our games. I was wrong.
Yeah, but then you look at every other team and you go, okay, we've got Bowden Barrett playing, we've got so many, we got some All Blacks sides, yeah. But we'll leave it there. But over the weekend, we got a very one-sided battle, which is very surprising because just 2 weekends ago, Argentina had beaten the All Blacks for the first time in their history. But before we get into the gameplay over the weekend, I do want to talk about the All Blacks campaign for 2020 overall. So although COVID played a massive factor, and we have to take that into consideration, the All Blacks consistency and aura, it's in question, and it was terrible this year. So if you spoke to a majority of rugby fans after the amazing Super Rugby Aotearoa season and the North versus South game, the All Blacks players were looking just as good, if not better, than they'd ever been heading into Test match season before. But they've had the biggest flop or flip-flop campaign I'd ever seen as an All Blacks fan. So one week they're on fire, the next week they're flatter than what Kyrie Irving thinks the world looks like. So that's basically what it is. But they just don't look like the All Blacks. So I don't know where we go from here, but there's a lot of things that we also have to consider because there were a lot of challenges and threats the All Blacks had to face. So new opposition coaches, as well as Steve Hansen being replaced with Ian Foster and a brand new coaching staff, a brand new influx of players into the squad, gelling with long-time veteran players, new captain in Sam Cane, having to play a whole Tri-Nations away from home, and having Argentina play the way they did in their first encounter. I think that played a big factor as well. So James, I know it would be hard to put a finger on just one thing that caused this much inconsistency in the All Blacks camp, but you know the question I'm going to ask. If you had to, what would you say it would be?
Oh, I think, geez, that's a tough question. I think if we're really just looking for consistency and performance, I think Foster would have selected the same team every week. I think he was chopping and changing a little bit to have a look at what he's got. And that's by nature, that's going to affect your consistency and your continuity a bit. Mm-hmm. I think it shouldn't be panic stations at the moment for All Blacks fans. On your best day, you're the best team in the world. And on your worst day, you're the second or third best team in the world. So you're right. The team has lost a little bit of that aura of invincibility. And I feel now that, like, on a good Wallabies day, we can make it competitive and win a game. Mm-hmm. But there's still plenty to be kind of positive about an All Blacks fan. And I think, again, this is six games into a 4-year cycle. Mm-hmm. So let's just be patient and see how it plays out.
Yeah. And when you look at what the All Blacks team had to endure, you could argue this is more adversity and this is more challenging than any All Black squad has had to deal with in a very long time. So, Hala, does this benefit the All Blacks so they can evolve and become stronger, or does this send a message, like James said, to all their competitors that they're not so unbeatable anymore? They can be beaten on a good day.
I think there's a bit of both, yeah. I disagree in that I think that there's an opening that can be utilized for opposition, in that takes away the genius of the All Blacks culture that already exists, but currently lacks. I think the losses actually put a shine on exactly what's wrong with the All Blacks right now, and that is the aura of the jersey is only outshone by the players that wear them. So I think that internally the All Blacks players need to understand what they're doing. And I think they realized that against Argentina in their last game. So the power of that jersey is only as strong as the men that wear it. And I think that these guys got a really big humbling in that, you ain't shit. You need to start playing rugby. Mm-hmm. And just because you wear an All Black jersey with a silver fern doesn't mean you're just as good as anyone that came before you. And that, like I've said previously, that was my problem with the All Blacks with the games that they played and they lost consecutively. So I think it's good for the All Blacks. I think they've acknowledged, and I think I'll go back to the 2007 World Cup that we lost to France
in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, and it was almost that same arrogance that they hadn't been tested, and they sort of relied on their go-tos, and their go-tos couldn't deliver. So I think the culture in the All Blacks now has been shaken up. I think Ian Foster and the coaching staff now know that they don't have a team that they can just sort of go through the rigmarole, and now they're being tested as coaching staff. And they know that now, all right, cool, we need to start the readjustment and the realigning of the All Blacks culture. And as a coaching staff, I think we're going to see a new era. And I also think this wouldn't have happened with Razor, but I'm sort of happy. But I also think, though, this is really good because when you go that far being untouched, especially what happened at the World Cup last year, now you need that arrogance to be completely wiped out, and we need to start again.
Okay, good points. No, I appreciate that. So let's get into talking about the weekend's gameplay and talk about Argentina first. So no surprise that everyone was very impressed with their first two games, but this past match wasn't their best performance by a long shot. So there was a lot that went wrong with this team over the weekend, but I believe, me personally, I think it came down to two factors. So the handling errors are one. 3 weeks ago, the Pumas had one handling error the whole game. And in this past weekend's game, they produced 19 turnovers. So very big difference. The Pumas not fielding their best team, specifically in the front row, is my number two. So this was very evident as this past week, the ABs won 10 out of 13 scrums with the RGs losing 2 of their own. And 3 weeks ago in their victory, Argentina won 63% of their scrums in that match. And when you're thinking about all the All Blacks players that are going up against the Argentinian players, these are the best, probably the best forward pack we've seen in a while in the All Blacks squad, going up against an Argentinian side. That's a lot to win 63%. So I will say that the RGs put up a great fight in the majority of the game because all the points didn't start coming through until about the 50th minute. But Hala, I'm going to come to you first. In your opinion, what was the biggest contributor to this Pumas loss?
I think, look, you highlighted that the points didn't come sort of to the 50th minute, yeah? Mm-hmm. All Black Rugby in the last 8 years, it's that 55 to 57th minute mark where they start putting the pressure on.
That Crusaders mentality as well.
100%. I also think like we're taking away from Ledesma and Chica's mindset, and that what they were trying to do was also not run the same gameplay against an All Blacks team that can also reassess their gameplay from the first game and then come back stronger, harder, and fitter. I also do think, and, you know, I'm going to harp on it a lot, I just feel as though the players wanted to wear that jersey with a lot more pride and wanted to make a statement. Having Argentina and the Wallabies at their heels that could take that Tri-Nations after losing a World Cup in the semi-final, that has to eat at your soul wearing any jersey, let alone an All Black jersey. What Ian Foster did was really smart. He made sure that Dan Coles and all his problem makers shut the F up and played their position. There was no ego on that field at all that game. And what we saw is, as much as Argentina were, because we've agreed that Argentina play disruptive rugby. That is their gameplay, and it works really well if it works. If it doesn't work, they panic and they don't know what to do. And that's apparent with the two halves. 10-0 at halftime. Come that 50th minute, everything just starts clicking. They start rushing passes. Will Jordan scores those couple of quick tries.
Oh, that was so good.
But that's what I mean, though, is like they can't perform under pressure, right? They're really good at disruptive. The All Blacks at the moment play a pressure game. That's how they work, is put the pressure on. They don't have to be in front by much, but when that 50th to 60th minute comes, like namely the 55th to 57th minute, that's when they do their changes, and it's usually during a line out or a scrum where the pressure comes in. Then all of a sudden it sways the possession, and then they just embark on a journey of just awesomeness. And that's what happened.
I've had many text messages from you where we hit the 55th minute and then you'll be sitting there going, wait, it's coming. And then he'll come in the 60th minute or something, and you'll be sitting there FaceTiming me going, I called it. But James, agree, disagree. What's your thoughts on it?
I saw most of what you guys saw. I thought the scrum was a huge factor. I thought you mentioned in the Pumas win over New Zealand, they had one handling error. Mm-hmm. They knocked their first pass on, and they had their second handling error about 2.5 minutes into the game. Mm. So the execution and the focus and the kind of all of the kind of all areas of that kind of continuity and gameplay that was so good looked off from the first 3 minutes. And I can remember seeing that and thinking this might be a long night for the Pumas. Mm. Scrum was a massive problem. Not selecting your best scrummages was probably an oversight and a big mistake. And then Hulla talked about the All Blacks are probably better than any other team at turning a 10-point lead into a 17-point lead, into a 25-point lead. And just the more the other team starts to kind of play catch-up rugby, the more the All Blacks cause turnovers and exploit turnovers. And as a Wallabies fan, the amount of times we've been in a game with 10 minutes to go and lost the game by 35 to the All Blacks, it's kind of testament to how many quick scores they can put on when the opposition's trying to play catch up. The only other thing I saw, I thought the sting went out of the Argentinian defensive line.
It did.
And in fact, I've seen a decrease in that every match they've played. So the most speed and the hardest shoulders was that first match against the All Blacks.
Yep.
And then each week, I think the line speed and the sting has gone out of that defense. And there was a couple of defensive possessions where the Pumas were just back on their heels and passive and upright and just letting the All Blacks roll. And that looked very different.
James,
sorry, Harley, you go ahead.
James, as a coach, when you watch that happen week after week, what's your thoughts as to why that happens? When you can go from such an attacking sting in a defensive line to actually just waiting for that that attacking line to hit you. Like, why do you think as a coach that is?
Okay. I think you need to basically look at your team in the warm-up and you either see that kind of fire in the eyes or it's missing. And if the fire in the eyes is missing, it's usually not the coach or it's not me as a coach to kind of smack them around the head, Tommy Orodonica style. You hopefully have one or two energizers in your team who are players who can recognize that other player below and make sure that by the time, if you're not frothing at kickoff, then like if you're playing a tough team and you're evenly matched, you're probably going to struggle.
So just going off what you said though, I saw that happening in the game and I saw Sanchez really, like he was physically hitting players across the back of the head, on the back, on the butt. Yeah. But I didn't see that from the forward pack. And the forward pack is what was winning and drawing the games against New Zealand and Australia. Do you think that first possession where they lost and they were outplayed at a set piece had a detrimental fact onto the rest of the game? Or was it perhaps just now they understand what it's like playing 3-4 games in a row?
Well, I think that was the point I was going to make as well, is that we spoke about this with the All Blacks, is you're having an international test team that's played 3 games in a row. You saw a bit of the sting come out of the All Blacks as well when they were coming at the defensive line. Not as much as I think we saw on the weekend with the Argentinians, but definitely those 3 test matches in a row, especially after playing a full season. And what are your thoughts, James?
I think you nailed it. I think Argentina were, like the early matches, they were just riding adrenaline, and that'll get you pretty far. Mm-hmm. We said that they have some deficiencies in the way they play, and some of those deficiencies were being masked by being just so high energy.
Yeah.
You mentioned Sanchez smacking guys on the back and bum and just saying, fire up. He was also missing tackles.
He was a little bitch, if we're going to be honest.
Contact.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one thing if Mitre is laying All Blacks out and then pumping his teammates up, but if the guy who's telling you
it's always the 10. It's always the 10.
It's always the 9 or the 10, I say.
9 or the 10, yeah, 9 or the 10.
I think we've all been in teams where your one certain player is just full of like bluster and telling you to man up and win contact and fire up and whack him. And if that guy misses some tackles, gets put on his bum, dogs a few breakdowns, loses.
Yeah, I think that's All Brothers players, isn't it, Hala? I think All Brothers players do that, don't they?
It's not. It's only if you sleep with their sister.
Oh my God. Okay, we're moving on. Okay, so all right. So the next thing I did want to talk about, just to round out the Argentinian chat, is
don't ask questions you don't want to hear, G.
Yeah, that's definitely that's a bad move by a
lawyer.
You don't ask those. Okay, so the big news that also came out during the week was Pablo Mitre being sacked as captain due to some very disturbing comments he made on social media 10 years ago. Plus 2 other Pumas players have been dropped as well. So I don't really want to talk about what was said specifically. I want to leave that to the side because I know we all have our own opinions about that. But I do want to talk about the impact this will have on their squad. So we spoke about it off air. It's we have one of their flankers who at Crema playing lock and so they've kind of reconfigured their squad. James, with 3 of their players stepping down and their leader who has brought them so much great gameplay and so much pride and so much fire in that jersey, do Argentina have a shot of beating the Wallabies?
I think it could go either way. I think this could be the worst performance of the season for the Argies, or we said that they've gone flat after all that early adrenaline. This may be motivation and it may be an adrenaline push. And if that's the case, then all of these guys are very proud of the Pumas jersey. They're pretty deep. They're big and physical and fit. And if they come out really high energy and kind of get on top and use this as motivation, there could be another boil over.
Hulla, agree, disagree?
Look, I agree for 48 to 50 minutes. I think experience counts. I think that's what got Australia to where they're at right now during this series, especially. There was an article on Fox Sports as the most versatile team that the Wallabies have ever had, which is really true. You've had outside backs slotting in at fly half. And I just think that Australia are going to field a team that in set positions with 25 to 30 minutes to go, it's going to be way too strong. Having said that, like, Australia need to survive the onslaught. I think.
Excuse me.
That's Dave Rennie calling, saying, "Tell that guy to shut up." Yeah, I think Australia are going to have to survive a very physical onslaught, and that's why, like, looking at the team that was named, I'm actually quite worried. It also makes sense in that the bench that's coming on are powerful, they are fast, and they're reactors, right? And by reactors, I mean you want your bench to wave a certain way. Looking at that Wallabies team, I see a Chiefs team when they won the championship for the first time in like 10 years.
I like that comparison.
Yeah, because what you've got coming off the bench are people that react very fast, are very powerful, and they are disruptors of the opposition's game plan, but they're also reactors at the same time. So I think what we're going to see from the Wallabies is a Chiefs-esque game set where it's going to be really close for 45 to 50 minutes, and we're going to see the Wallabies come home super strong. And, like, I'm backing Wallabies to win, 12 to 24 points. But,
not 101-0? You're not backing them to win 101-0?
Please. Thank you for the buzz, though. Thank you for the Tri-Nations. But I think what we're going to see is something that every team in the world should fear is Dave Rennie is now making a team that can definitely attack for 80 minutes and then give you that second wave, which is what they've lacked for a long time. So I'm honestly backing the Wallabies to come home really strong, but they have to survive. If the Wallabies are down at halftime, it'll be a small chance of victory. But the Wallabies within 7 to 10 points, they're going to come home and swing strong.
Okay. All right. Well, if anybody didn't get that 101-0 point joke, that's how much the Wallabies have to win by to win the Tri-Nations.
Not nil, just 101 points.
They just need 101 points. Is that it?
Or just clear. No, not 101. What is it? Hold on. Let's look at this shit.
Yeah, I think it's 101.
It's 101.
So they can win 110 to 5 and they win the Tri-Nations.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's chat about the ABs because boy, was I happy about this performance on the weekend. So I know this was a team effort, but one man I want to give credit to is Sam Whitelock. So during the week, he
should be captain. Should be captain. Should be captain.
No, he shouldn't. He's on his way out. So during the week, he said in the media that the tight five really needed to step up with their physicality and their gameplay to give the ABs a fighting chance. And he succeeded in that. The lineouts were great. His defense was unreal. So, Hulla, what were your thoughts on his gameplay?
Dude, like I said, it was set pieces. It was all set pieces. What happened was this. Boys, let's go. Let's go, boys. That's all that happened. They came in. They commanded. They came. They commanded, and they conquered. That's what's happened. I think too, and I really want to specify key points. That scrum,
yeah,
dude,
yeah,
bro. Like let's be really real. They should have already had the best scrum for the Tri-Nations. And my opinion is the culture, whatever. What we saw is exactly what should always happen. And what we saw is when the All Blacks team actually command it, they get it. And they do what the heck they want to do. That scrum was impeccable. And the replacements came on, impeccable. That's what I mean.
You just used lots of words.
But this is what I mean. I said this in the last podcast. I was like, you need someone that can lead, right? Sam Whitelock said that shit, back that shit up. No offense to Sam Cane, but we're talking about leadership and action in arms. When you go to war, you want the guy that goes to war, not just to take the bullet or the grenade or the rocket. You want the guy that's takes it and everyone else lives and then does the same thing and he's still alive. And that's what we saw on the weekend.
Well, Sam Whitelock, he had a good game, but someone we can't not mention is Will Jordan, because he came on the field and he made a spark. So this kid has been on fire all year.
1.5 minutes performed better than all of us put together.
So in Super Rugby Aotearoa, he whipped out his bag of tricks, and in the All Blacks jersey, he's done the same thing. A lot of people are saying he was lucky with both of his tries by them just falling into his lap, but I disagree with that 100%. This is what this kid does. He's an outstanding attacker, a great defensive reader who takes opportunities, and he can make opponents pay on the other side with the counter attack. So the question I want to ask now, though, is I'm going to come to Coach James with this. So who would you guys put in your starting winger jerseys? Because me personally, I would love to put the two young guns in over Jordie Barrett. So a lot of people say that concept is insane, but you look at what George Bridge and Sevu Reece did for the All Blacks team when they were put in as young wingers into that side. They both started in a test match and they played pretty damn well. So, James, if you had to choose your two wingers, who would you choose?
Remind me, what's the other winger's name? The big fella who just made his
Caleb
Clark. Yeah. So he takes one wing spot, whichever is his favourite, for the next 80
years. 80 years, or
and then on the other side, I think Will Jordan will eventually force his way into a starting position. But I think as a finisher and as a bench player, I think he's got enormous value. So whether it's Bridge or Savu or Barrett, I don't think any of those absolutely demand their position at the moment. But you can afford to pick whichever is the best form or whichever is the best matchup. Bring Jordan off the bench, and when Jordan's ready, he demands that spot. He gets it.
James, can I ask a question? Do you honestly feel that Jordie Barrett is a winger?
I want to know this too.
I've seen him finish a couple of times, in difficult situations, and he's very good in the air, and he's kind of good on the kick, on the contestable kick. He's tall, he kicks well, he defends solidly. He's not an out-and-out winger, but he's got qualities which make him a good test winger.
I suppose I ask this because it's all the attributes that you're talking about are of a fullback 10, maybe inside back.
Yeah.
So is it that you want to go for an exclusive winger like a Will Jordan, or an outside back like a Will Jordan, or a Ioane? Or do they stick with someone that is and let's be honest, is a third option sitting on a wing that can and maybe fill in on a...
See, because I personally think Ioane should take that he's played well in 13 jersey and Super Rugby Aotearoa, but I think when he came on back after he messed up his first test match 13 jersey, I think he played phenomenally in that winger position. I think he's way more valuable in that facet. But James, what are your thoughts?
I think I haven't seen Akira or Caleb Clark kick the ball, but if neither of them are kicking options, then you run into a lot of trouble having both wingers who are not kickers.
Okay. So not to be the catalyst of debate, or am I?
That's what we're doing here, mate.
Right? But then, name me an All Black side that had two wingers that could do more than just run hard, fast, and do everything.
Mm, yeah.
Outside of kick. Because to mine, like the greatest swingers of all time, you're talking about your bigger size, your Jonah Lomus,
Well,
your
because
Salvez,
you've got that as well. So you had the tandem, you had your Ben Smith on one wing, and then you had your Sevilla on
right?
the other side.
Right?
So yeah, I see that.
And
I
Ben
think you're
Smith,
making my point, TJ. I think you're making my point. I think there's always been a big physical, athletic, dominant winger, and there's also been a kicking, smaller winger who is able to fill in at fullback.
Yeah,
well,
boom.
but that's what, well,
I
I
think
think
you're
like,
making my point. I think you're
I
contradicting Haller's point.
yeah,
well,
definitely.
but I also think like Ben Smith though was like a lot more dynamic than I feel Geordie's a fullback. Geordie on the wing is wasted, and I just don't understand why you would waste a position where you could have someone, maybe not a specialist, but definitely someone that's more faster and reacts defensively better, like Ben Smith did on the wing, and you could also slot him in at 13 or 15.
Mm.
So that's why I'm
No,
asking, because I'm also biased too. I think
I
Geordie
actually,
Back
I
should
actually
not be in.
am worried that why I opened this can of worms, because then we haven't even talked about the Bowden Barrett facet of this, so I'm gonna leave it there because we're gonna keep splitting hairs all night. But I spoke about this previously as well, as I thought we needed to refine our kicking strategy against the Pumas. I said that a couple of episodes ago, and I feel like it really paid dividends for us in this game. We weren't attacking one-dimensionally and kicking just because we thought we had to. We utilized a lot of space, and with various plays inside, outside, and out the back. So as you'd see if you watch the replay, you had a lot of great rush play in those forward pods, and they really look like a threat as opposed to just running through the motions. And then we had those out the back passes, and then when we kicked, as opposed to kicking and then just watching no one chase, we had all the forwards chasing plus the wingers as well. So I think the kicking game was really reinvigorated in this game, and this put a lot of pressure on the Argentinian counterattack, so that put them right down in their half. So although the carries off first receivers were amazing, personally, I thought our kicking game was the deciding factor for the ABs to win this game. So, James, in your opinion, what was the best facet of the ABs gameplay?
I'm having trouble splitting what was a great All Blacks performance and what was a really flat and ordinary Pumas performance.
That's a good
point.
So,
Man, that's fair. That's fair.
Whenever the Wallabies have a big win, which is not that often, I usually say they played awesome without looking too much at the opposition. But I thought the Pumas were really flat, and I thought the All Blacks did what I expect them to do against a flat, ordinary side. So I think the attacking momentum, being able to win the game line and recycle quickly, it sounds like an obvious thing and a small thing, but everything else flows off of that. Mo'unga having so much time to catch, run, or pass.
Do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, if you give like Mo'unga on the third or fourth phase of attack with momentum and a backpedaling defense, Mo'unga is indefensible. And, he got a bunch of ball kind of in that favourable way, and all these kind of factors are very interrelated.
Okay, well, I think we'll round out this conversation with one man who we've spoken about a few times, but he only played 20 minutes in his All Blacks debut due to a red card, and that is Akira Ioane. So,
lock him in. Lock him in.
You guys and our listeners know that I've been on the Akira bandwagon forever. I've said that for a while. I'm glad to see that the All Blacks have caught up to giving him a crack. He was a great option in the line-out. But, Hulla, I'm coming to you with this because we've had a chat about this. He was a dominant force. I expected him to be on and off the ball, and he gelled very nicely in the back row. I know it's only been a game and a half in an All Blacks jersey, but are we looking at our future number 6 or Frizzell?
Nah, man.
Frizzell, you're scrapping him?
I'm scrapping him, bros. Here's the thing, right? And this is what I love about New Zealand rugby. If you ain't shit, you don't get a look in, right? He got a taste of it a couple years ago. He freaking messed it up. He's been fighting his way back since.
Yeah.
We just saw a number. This guy's going to go into the Reuben Thorne of greatness. So long as he stays motivated and hungry, Akira Ioane is going to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, All Black 6 of all time.
Oh, that's a big call.
Nah, man, because we've seen it. This is what I'm saying, though, bro. He's gone from having great Mitre 10 seasons to great Super Rugby seasons where you got put in an All Blacks jersey and you messed it up. right? Like you didn't get on the field, you got into the camp. And then his brother came along, and then his brother put that jersey on before him. His journey is exactly what the All Blacks is about. We will give you the moments and we'll give you the chances, but you have to earn it. He's earned it. He's smelt it. He loves it. His maturity in a rugby jersey is much more than his brother's. And I feel as though that we saw it. And I think him getting taken off during the red card, where they had to replace him, is the catalyst for what we're about to see of like perhaps 8 to 10 years of dominance in a number 6 jersey. And I'm really on board with this because he's worked for it so very hard, coming from a humble home in Auckland, playing club rugby and being overlooked for Mitre Cup, let alone Super Rugby teams. So I'm really on board with this, and I honestly think his story is really similar to Ruben Thorne, like super similar. And I just feel as though he's going to be a catalyst for a great Auckland Super Rugby team. And he'll go on to be, of that legendary era. And, man, I'm putting money on him to be – he'll be the number 6 here moving forth.
Damn. Okay, well, I saw a lot of a controversial face by James because me personally, I think I am on the train, but I think Jerome Kaino is probably going to beat him out for one of the better 6s. But James, opinion, tell us what you think.
Mate, I thought he was very good. Again, it's hard to say how much of that was just a great performance and how much of that was weak opposition. But we talked a couple of weeks ago about balance in the back row, and only being a line-out option, a strong scrummager, a ball carrier, and a defender means that you have some flexibility around the rest of your selection. So you can possibly pick a number 8 who's not a line-out option, or you can kind of pick a number 8 who's not as mobile because you're getting all of those qualities out of your 6 and your 7.
Okay. All right. We'll leave it there. Great win. Great finish to the All Blacks season. But before we head into our bonus point segment, it's prediction time. We have 2 awesome games playing this weekend and looking forward to both of them so much, especially watching them in person with 1 or 2 of you guys. So super excited. So Māori All Blacks versus Moana Pacifica. So this is the first time this team is ever going to play a game and the first time these 2 teams are going to meet. So James, I want to hear from you first because I'm pretty sure I know who Huller and I are going to pick for this matchup. Who are you picking for this one?
Wait, no.
Let him pick first. Let him pick first. You'll have your turn.
I'll take New Zealand Maori.
Oh, yes. Okay, that's why I liked you. Okay, Huller, now you get your turn. Who are you going?
Look, my head says New Zealand Māori. I do say that because Liam Messam is in the team. But I feel if it comes down to a crash and burn match where physicality is of the essence and finesse isn't, I honestly think Moana Pacifica are going to win that match.
Okay. James, I didn't give you an opportunity, but why are you picking the Māori over the Pacifica team?
I don't know both of the team lists, but I recognise more of the Maori.
Yeah.
The Maori. So I assume that they have kind of more experience and better credentials. But maybe this is maybe the opposite works true, and the fact that younger guys are hungry for the Pacifica. I'm not sure. But again, this will probably be one of those games where I'm not emotionally invested at all. And I just look forward to watching.
And who cares? We're about to watch some mother. Just hey, bro.
So I will say, me as a Māori fan, I'm pretty worried because when I look at both of the backlines, Moana Pacifica backline is going to carve up the Māori backline all day. You've got Raiasi, you've got Aso, you've got Perafeta at 15, and you've got it's just such a great backline. When you look at the Māori backline, you've got Wainui, you've got Stevenson, you've got Oteri Black. They've got three good guys, and obviously Bryn Hall at 9. I'm not sold on Billy Proctor. I don't think he's a good starting 13 in this Māori team.
Dude, I was actually worried.
No, starting him in that 13 jersey, I'm very uneasy about that. I don't know how he's going to go because Super Rugby is one thing, Māori All Blacks is another thing. So it'll be interesting. But like James said, we're gonna enjoy the rugby no matter what. So it's gonna be great, and I'm gonna be pounding my chest for the Maldives all day. But next up, we've got Argentina versus Australia. So with the loss last week and them losing their captain, I'm going to back Aussie for this matchup because I think Australia are going to come into this with cool heads. Dave Rennie at the helm. He's going to get them nicely prepared. Hulla, who have you got?
I said it earlier, man. I think it's going to be really close up until about the 45th, 50th minute, and I think Aussies take it away and win somewhat between 12 and 24 points.
James, do I even have to ask?
So, mate, I think I'm backing the Wallabies, but I actually would have felt more confident in a Wallabies victory if Mitre and the other two were playing. Based on the decrease in the performance and the decrease in the heat in each of these matches and the decrease in the sting, I was feeling very, very comfortable of an Aussie win. And I think the only thing that can probably disturb that is a really inspired Argie performance. And Mitre being out gives that chance.
James, how do you feel that Argentinian's bench is going to go against Australia, though?
I agree with your earlier point. I think we have a bunch of our best players coming off the bench. So if it's close, we should finish on top of them.
Right. Okay.
All right. Well, super excited for those matchups, but it's called the bonus point for a reason. And welcome back, Hulla, because you're going to lead our today's segment.
Dude.
What have you got for us?
Bro, we're talking about Tier 2 nations having test matches, right? And specifically this weekend, we're going to see Fiji, who last week I was speaking some shit, and I didn't realize that Fiji weren't playing in the Northern Hemisphere team competition, which is fine. Look, take a loss, talk some shit.
Too many Bundy Cokes for you that week as well?
No, man, that was actually... actually... No, we can't say it on there. It's illegal.
Yeah, get on with it. Get on with it. Let's go.
But what we're seeing this weekend, I want to highlight this is like Tier 2 teams that, and again, it's been a COVID year, so I understand. Tier 2 teams struggle generally trying to create games. But this week, we're seeing Fiji versus Georgia, and that's my highlight game of the week. But I want to look into the Tier 2 nations actually bringing decent competition now because the rules or the IRB are now having to realize that these Tier 2 nations are now coming in and bringing constant competition. So this weekend, if you haven't seen the Fijian team, they are stacked to the bridge. We've got the return of Namani Nadolo.
Oh, I'm so excited for that.
And his journey alone is amazing. He's gone from the New South Wales Waratahs to the Crusaders. He's won a Super Rugby championship. He's gone to Fiji, the captain Fiji at World Cup. He's gone over to France. He's played top 14. He's probably one of the most dominant outside backs that the world has ever seen. He's come through Queensland, born in Fiji, raised in Queensland. He has come from a lineage. We're talking a lineage of great players. We're talking the Barapasangas, the Tukiris, the Nadolos. His family is synonymous with rugby. They are game changers. And now he's back. And watching him grow has been amazing. I went to school with him. But seeing what he said about rugby is Tier 2 nations matter. Tier 2 nations are the backbone to international rugby. That is something that got him in trouble, which is why he stepped away from international rugby, which is why he left Australian Rugby Union, which is why he went to Japan and then was brilliantly accepted by New Zealand Rugby. Now he's come full circle, and now he's about to Semi Radradra is about to lead the Fijian team. Probably the most stacked Fijian team I have actually ever seen.
I would agree with that.
A Tier 2 game against a Georgian team who is, to be honest, literally been game changers.
I actually want to talk about that. So when you look at teams like Georgia, who are by definition a Tier 2 side, they're showing that they can go toe-to-toe with some of the best teams in Europe in some way or shape or form. They've outgrown the Rugby Europe Championship, which is basically the second Tier 6 nations as they win each year with basically sold-out crowds. So I think that they should be replacing a country like Italy, who has been failing in the Six Nations every year, or at least, like we spoke about previously, create a relegation system where countries like Georgia are given a shot in a competition like the Six Nations. But I like that you're talking about Fiji a lot, because I think we're on the right track with this Moana Pacifica game to see countries like Fiji, Tonga, Samoa eventually get more resources, funding, or even just a tourism boost once COVID isn't a factor, put into those countries. So for the Autumn Nations, you had guys, like you said, like Ndolo, who have been a Super Rugby icon, who have come out of international retirement to play in this game. Although it's amazing to see guys like this, you want to see the local talent be grown, and you have 10 Ndolos caliber, like those kind of caliber players in that side. Yeah, so I think the Fijian NRC side, that's a good addition. The World Rugby Pacific Combine that they've been doing, things like Moana Pacifica. But I hope that this kind of stuff keeps happening so they can become a tier 1.5 nation, or just at least a well-known tier 2.
Yeah, and I think like that happens really well, like especially in Europe. You see teams like Romania, Russia, Georgia, who come to the fruition where they're starting to expand to international waters, get some players that may have been looked over, that may have also had great experience. Off the top of my head, I think of guys like Luke Samoa, who came through the Brisbane Broncos system, who were picked up by the Western Force, and, just missed that mark by whatever status it was. And then they're in Romania, and then they take that team to world qualifications to make the next World Cup. So, and that's what I mean. What Georgia are doing right now are investing in their own player system, and they're doing it a lot better than what we're seeing from South Pacific rugby teams. And I suppose that's what I want to highlight, is that if these European tier 2/3, if it exists, nations can do it, then what's stopping these tier 2 nations, specifically in Pacifica, who are actually fielding by the name Semi Tanela Tupo, Sam Tuito, not Sam Tuito, what's his name? All Blacks Sekeroa, who, you got players that literally born and raised in Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, playing for other players, playing for other teams. You know what I mean? Like, we're seeing something so brilliant in that a Fijian team that's so strong in their longevity to be viable to play for them against, another tier 2 team in Georgia, who are doing so amazingly well in growing their own rugby with financial backing. So, what is it that we have to do to make sure that our tier 2 nations continue to grow?
James, do you want to cover that one?
I think the Pacific question and the Georgia-Italy question are kind of a little bit linked. Italy and Georgia are kind of a fair stretch behind the rest of the Six Nations teams. I think that they basically added Italy years ago just to create a third match each week. So that
it's like how they did with in the GPS program in the early days in Brisbane. They brought in Brisbane State High as a state high school, the only state high school, just to get extra matches in. But then you see now they were one of the powerhouses in this competition. So do you think that, although that did happen, do you think that they could eventually, getting in that competition year in, year out, they could become close to competition?
I don't know. It's been close to 10 years that Italy's been in the Nations, and I don't think you've seen any improvement in Italy. They don't really play a very attractive style of rugby, and every second or third year they'll beat Scotland. They'll beat Scotland 6-5.
Yeah.
In an unwatchable match. So I don't know. I think Georgia. I think Italy right now are just ahead of Georgia in terms of. I think if the two of them played 3 times, I think Italy win 2 of them. But I think there's kind of at the moment there's England and France that are ahead of the rest of the nations at the moment, and then there's stages where Ireland and Wales, they've both won this competition in the last couple of years, and I think both of them have maybe done the Grand Slam, haven't they?
Yeah,
they have.
Ireland and Wales. So you've got 4 real sides, and then Scotland, and then Italy, and then Georgia. So maybe you just go back to a top 4 with England, France. I don't know. There's just so much tradition in that competition in the Six Nations that any changes probably come pretty slowly, and
Yeah.
we'll see.
How would you grow that then?
Mate, I'd prefer to discuss the Pacific. Like, I'm passionate about Pacific rugby, like you guys are.
Yeah.
Mate, I would love to see every 4 years that Pacific Islands or Pacific Nations
Yeah, the PI team.
PR team, and
Yeah.
that could be every bit as entertaining and successful and lucrative as the British and Irish Lions.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And
Look,
that could, sorry?
so I was gonna say, like, maybe I'm biased,
Yeah.
but if there was a PI,
Maybe.
a PI Lions-esque team, I dare say the upsets start coming, and I dare say that the investment in Pacifica rugby would be a lot more, and I dare to say the reason why it hasn't happened is because everyone knows it, and they want to exploit the islands more.
I love controversy.
But it makes business sense, right? You get the most dynamic players or the dynamic athletes into your competition, and your competition is more attractive to everyone, which means you make more money. So I honestly feel that as a business sense, that's why it doesn't happen. Because when it did happen, everything was sold out. It's on YouTube. You can check the videos. That's why it's not happening anymore.
TMO. Let's go to the TMO.
Okay, so mate, just quickly, like if you used, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with that statement, but if you,
smart.
If you use the Pacific Island team, and every 4 years you'd have a tour, you'd collect the best Pacific Island players and tour. You could do the Southern Hemisphere every second tour, so you could do tests against maybe Japan, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, or maybe, and that'd be like a 4-game, 5-week tour. Throw in a couple of midweek provincial matches.
Yep.
And that could be your financial engine to support Pacific Islands rugby for the next 4 years. The next 4 years, you do Northern Hemisphere, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, France, 5 matches, 6 weeks. And that could also be a lure to keep Pacific Island players from taking contracts in Australia, from kind of New Zealand and Australia handpicking the best talent. If they can only play for Pacific Islands, if they're eligible for Fiji, Tonga, Samoa.
Well, sorry, James.
And then just the last thing is you make that you make some sort of like profit share in that tour, so that the 30 players who do that tour get a real big payday, and then that becomes something aspirational for every player on the islands, and that's sometimes enough maybe to keep you in the country or eligible for your country.
I think you go. I'll round off.
Well, that's the problem, is that, the European clubs aren't allowing Pacific Islander players to leave for international games because, it coincides exactly when they need their players to shine.
Yeah.
The AI Rugby Australia and the New Zealand Rugby don't want their Pacific Islander players playing because that's the off season. And in order to play for a Super Rugby franchise, you have to be available for Australia or New Zealand. South Africa at the moment are the only team that will let you play abroad. They also aren't willing to ship players over to South Africa because they actually have a system that works, and they develop players that can actually play internationally and want to play for South Africa. So I think, James, what you're saying is beautiful, and I think everyone wins.
What I want to finish off with is what are the people called who support the Irish Lions, who follow them, the Barmy Army or
the Barmy Army?
Could you imagine how amazing the Pacific Island Army would be that would be following around? How much chicken would be sold at every KFC in the world? So
Red Rooster.
Oh, Red Rooster, yeah, everywhere. It would be so much fun. It would be amazing. I think the atmosphere would be awesome. So, James, beautiful idea. I think we should get on top of that, and I think someone should hire us to get on top of it. But
available.
boys, I'm available.
We all are. We're living in America as rugby coaches.
Well, boys, great episode once again. Hala,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Welcome back to the land of the free. We're super excited to have you in the same time zone as us, let alone half
Good
an
to be
hour
back.
away from me. So I'm super excited. James, thank you very much as well. Enjoy your commentary and your thoughts and your everything you bring to the podcast every time. It's amazing. But we've got one more episode left, gentlemen. One more, and then we take a little break. So we're going to bring the big guns out next week. We're going to have a great chat. It's gonna be good stuff. But
Aussie. Oi.
Oh, then all of us
That-
are doing
that
good.
felt
Yeah.
That felt weird to say.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Bonus Point podcast last week in rugby series. We will see you soon. Have a good evening.